A short one. So welcome, Wednesday, second to last week of our summer momentum. Thank you for being here. For those of you who are here, I know it's tough to make these calls, and it is a nice way. I called these the weekly anchor and activation. They do activate something within you, that momentum, that continuation, the mindset, and it does activate the spark. So, whether you're here at work or you have other things, it is, thank you for being here. And if you're tuning into the replay, this is important to stay tethered to your goals, to stay tethered, because it is so easy, especially I say this with so much love, but as we move into fall, if you're not like really holding on to your like routine with fitness and wellness, you get swept. Imagine a big wave coming underneath your feet and just sweeping you out. Can happen. I've seen it, like, as a health and wellness coach. So many people come back to me in October, which is kind of why I started the Fall Fire in October. September is such a swoosh, but not for you guys. This is going to be your first year where you move through September without dropping the ball, without losing the momentum, without missing a workout one week. That's you guys. That's you. Believe it, see it, visualize yourself as that woman who doesn't miss a beat. September comes, a new schedule comes, wake up times, kids, whatever it is, and it's okay because this is who you are. Now, I want to talk, like, today we're talking about debunking fitness myths and things that you hear, because it is a loud world that we live in. And I just watched The Biggest Loser, the 3-part documentary about The Biggest Loser. Has anyone seen the new Netflix thing yet? No. Okay. Did anyone used to watch The Biggest Loser? Katie, a little bit? Yeah. I didn't. Like, I think I'd already moved out, I think, by the time it started. And I think my mom might have. Anyways, I didn't really know. Like, I actually was I think I knew the gist of it. But anyways, long story short, it is all about extreme, like 800 calories and 8 hours of working out. It's all about shame-based abuse, basically, to get these overweight people to lose weight. There was some crazy, like really mean, like making these people puke, and it's just actually awful. But it perpetuated, I think at the time, this idea that things had to be extreme. You're seeing people eat 800 calories and work out for 8 hours a day under strict regimented training, like literally till they were puking. One woman died on the show, but then they were able to revive her. Like, just absolute insanity. Of course, they didn't show that on the show. They showed it on the documentary, but like, just absolute insanity. But I think, they made it all rosy and fun. And so people were like, oh, that's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. You just got to do that. And, we're farther away from that. Thank goodness. I always want to be the exact opposite of what that show was all about. There's no shame. There are no quick fixes. There are no extremes. That's not how we go about it. But yet you're still probably, without realizing it, because it's packaged in a way that's very digestible, that's very attractive. People are still selling things. And so today we're just talking about like debunking some fitness myths and some of this stuff. And I really, unless this stuff is triggering for you, it is an interesting documentary. It's funny because Bob, one of the trainers, it was Jillian Michaels, who refused to be, and I see why. She was giving out caffeine pills. She was bad. I didn't know how bad she was. Then there was Bob Harper. And, they're doing this to help overweight people get healthy and to avoid all these heart attack, diabetes, and anything. And then Bob Harper, after the show finished, almost died. Well, he did die. They were able again to revive him of a heart attack at the gym. The healthiest trainer of America has literally a widowmaker heart attack, which just goes to show you that, everything in moderation, and that sometimes, it's just so much. There's so much else. There's so much nuance. Like it can be a genetic thing. It can, and so can overweight can be just the way that your body holds on to weight. Everyone is different. And the show didn't speak to that at all. And it's an interesting look now that you know better to go back and watch the way that they pick it apart and everything. So anyways, what we're going to do, because today we're going to talk a lot of myths are around cardio, overeating, undereating, carbs. And I want to say that the truth, like really to cut through, to debunk a lot of things and just to give you like a quick access to like what you also always need to remember is that when you are in stress, a lot of work emails, a divorce, a new job, your kid is going through something emotional, you are going through a dark night of the soul, financial, like all of those things will hinder your ability to be in a fat loss zone because you have to feel safe for your body to let go and to go into that parasympathetic where we heal and lose weight. Is that pretty crystal clear? I don't need to say that in other words. So, knowing that, I want to give you guys one of the biggest tools to activate your vagus nerve. If you've ever heard that term before, vagal nerve, vagal toning, parasympathetic. These words mean in a relaxed state, your nervous system, so that we are sending out good hormones instead of cortisol hormones, instead of an epinephrine, instead of adrenaline. We want to be like, just like doing what we are meant to do. We're back from the hunt. We're sitting around the fire. We're digesting. If you think of like back in the day, Paleolithic times, everything is good. We're safe at this moment. One of the best ways to do that is breath work. And so I would love to offer you the most studied breath work by Stanford University, Dr. Andrew Huberman, a huge multi-million follower podcast that many universities are like, this guy's legit. He's a Stanford physician and professor. He is a scientist and a university professor. And he has gone and collected a lot of data. And this is a breath work, and it's called the psychological sigh. You want to write that down. It's 2 inhales, 1 exhale. So it's inhale and then another sip, inhale, and 1 long exhale. And those are through the nose. So just practice. So you inhale, nose, and then take another sip, nose, open the mouth. Now, Katie, you're going to love this because I like to do it to the rhythm of the music. If anyone used to dance or play an instrument or anything like that, sometimes a rhythm can keep us going kind of subconsciously. Like we don't really unconsciously, it kind of keeps us going. So some of the benefits are obviously stress regulation. It resets oxygen, CO2. It helps drops cortisol and moves us into rest and digest, the parasympathetic. It is actually quite instant. The psychological sigh, or the inhale, inhale, exhale, is a reduction of acute in the moment stress. So they can tell, because we have machines now that can watch the waves of the mind coupled with heart rate, coupled with blood pressure. After 3 minutes of this breath, all of those, the things drop, the mind calms. It's great for lung capacity, great. Emotionally, it can be really wonderful. It helps you come back to like, I am safe, especially with mantra or affirmation. And then also just focus and clarity. If you're like sitting there and you're like, I can't think anymore, like you're just struggling to get some work done, or you like are switching from work to kid mode, taking these 3 minutes to just bring yourself back and anchor in focus, clarity, safety, regulated groundedness, right? So I'm going to go ahead. I have music queued up. And we're going to go ahead and try this out together. So you can do it with your eyes open. I recommend eyes shut. And let me just turn it up. So just take a moment, exhale, and just let the rhythm of the music come on. It's coming. One, two, exhale. One. So let's try. Inhale, inhale, exhale. Inhale, inhale, exhale. Remember, nose, nose, mouth. Nose, nose, mouth. A little, a lot, full exhale. A little, all the way. You can also, I like exhale through a big open mouth. You can also do through a pursed lips, like a straw. Try that too. Now continue. If you start to feel a little bit lightheaded, it might be like, try to keep going. Try to notice, like, am I like scared because this is new, or is this too much? So you get to play with the intensity. And I also want to share that as you keep going, if you're needing more energy, like you're like thinking, oh, I need another coffee, then that's probably an indication that you could really breathe quite heavily, like it's like quite intense. And if you're in a heightened state where you feel like you've already had too much coffee, then this can be very gentle. It can be very light breath. Like barely, barely, barely exhale. You're like really titrating that. So knowing that you have the ability to be your own healer in this moment, but you have to have the present moment awareness. Where am I on the spectrum of energy? Am I too angst and I need to come down? Then the breath needs to be gentle. Am I really low and feeling like at the bottom of the barrel? Then you can give yourself more by breathing more intensely. So let's all, for the next minute, try the intense version where you're drinking in as much air as possible, blowing out as much air as possible. It feels almost like a workout, but for the breath. Let's go. In, big exhale. The ribs should move. I should be able to see through a Zoom screen how big this breath is. Keep going, 30 more seconds. Big, big exhale. Big, big exhale. Eyes are shut. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Now, barely breathing, but keep it going. Inhale, inhale, exhale. Very gentle. Like a baby breath. Both feel good, but one feels different than the other, right? One is more activating. This one is more calm. And we're going to end on this one. Couple more. The psychological side. One of the most studied, beneficial. There's really no contradictions. If you were pregnant, you would just do it a little bit more gentle. Notice the mental chatter. Isn't this amazing how present you are? Four, three, two, and everyone inhale and hold this breath. You might not be able to hold it very long because you're kind of high, but just hold, staying very calm. And one big exhale, slowly. We're going to do two or more of those. Inhale, hold, and placing an intention, speaking a kind affirmation, I am, and then saying what you are, what you want. I am a divine being of light. Exhale. Last one. Inhale. Good. And exhale. And slowly starting to come back. I'd love to hear in the chat from you guys here. How do you feel? Just drop it a few words. I'm gonna actually turn this off now. There we go. So powerful. I have been lightheaded but calm, totally normal. I feel calmer, a little bit lightheaded. Yeah, everyone feels a little bit lightheaded. And so just take a sec, allow yourself to settle if that's still tingling. Wanted to share that another thing about the Back to the Biggest Loser, because it's a great teaching point, so I'm using it today, is that in the documentary, they're catching up with these people 9, 10, 15 years later. Most of them have gained back all the weight or more. Makes sense, because why? Well, one, they're totally messing with their metabolisms by going into such extremes. Their body, of course, during the time of eating 800 calories and working out for 8 hours a day, you're going to tap into your fat stores. But first of all, your body does adapt. That's probably not so much what happened. It's more that your metabolism is in such a crazy, I am not safe. I am not safe. I am not safe. And therefore, and then as soon as you start, that's not realistic either. So as soon as you're going back to normal, second, they didn't give them any education or any aftercare program. They talked about how so many of the contestants were please, can you please continue to help me? The show made 100 million billion. It was insane, the profits, and none of it went to giving them a gym membership or having a nutritionist afterwards. And B, they didn't deal, or C, they didn't deal with any of the psychological reasons why anyone would become overweight. What is the story? What is the pattern? What is the addiction? What is right? They didn't deal with any of that. And so again, back to just what I hope that you guys are realizing is that quick fixes and extreme anything is never the road to health or sustainability. And we want to never go backwards. I want it to, this from now on, from my course, from working with me, to be a forward trajectory. It's not linear. It's not that it's not going to have peaks and valleys. It's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that you're not going to go back. There's no going back to who you were, because you have the information, because you have the embodied experience, because you want differently for yourself. Okay. So this show is very that. It's only 3 episodes. They're each 45 minutes. You don't even have to really be watching. I don't really sit and watch TV. I just watch it while I'm meal prepping or doing the laundry or something like that. So, or waiting for my in the parking lot, and I got to Surrey a little bit early, something like that. I'll turn on my Netflix. I don't always just want to be on email and social media. Okay, so let's debunk like a couple of these common fitness myths and misconceptions. One of them is that cardio is going to make you gain weight. So, or cardio is bad. That's one that I've heard a lot lately. And part of it is a result. You'll see this in any trend, in anything that we do is the pendulum swings, right? Like from feminism to, or like from women to being repressed to feminism to now coming back to more women wanting to be, in their actual feminine in the home. It's pendulum swings every time. And so cardio was the thing. And then right now we're kind of seeing like people really demonizing it. And I think it's going to come back to we realize it's a tool in the toolbox. But where, like, to tease this apart to where people are seeing a study or to like even getting that idea is the problem with cardio, as we know, is you're burning a lot of calories. If you're running uphill, if you're cycling really hard, if you're in a spin class or a boxing class or something like that, Orange Theory, which is, I think, a mix. I've never been, but you're burning a lot of calories. Great. But as soon as you're done that class, you don't have any muscle, and muscle is the thing that is metabolically active at rest, right? And the problem is also if you're burning a lot of calories and trying to go into a calorie deficit, your body is actually taking energy from muscle and fat. And so, therefore, you're actually becoming in a place that's worse off because as soon as you stop the cardio, like let's say you took 2 months off because you got injured, you don't have any muscle, which is that metabolic tissue that would keep your metabolism revving. And so now as you eat normal and if you understand the deficit, right? Like so you have a TDEE, a total daily energy expenditure. We did a whole talk on this summer. Yours would go down because you're not doing cardio every day. And so now your calories have to go down and you have to actually, if you wanted to continue to lose weight, be under, but also you don't have any muscle. So now your calories have to go down even more. So again, when we talk sustainability with cardio, this is where I just want you guys to understand that I don't think cardio is bad. I think you need it for heart health. It feels good for endorphins. Oftentimes, my style of cardio, which is running, gets me out and gives me freedom. Like when I go to travel to a new city and you only have one day and there's not a nice gym, you can go for a run and like explore the city. That's like freedom to me. I want to be able to have that. I'm not going to feel bad about it. And, moving forward, I hope that we all understand that a little bit of cardio is great. You can get good heart health cardio within shorter HIIT segments. So just do 1 minute really, really hard and then recover. That also gives you the same benefit as a longer run. And as long as you are strength training and continuing to maintain muscle mass, your metabolism will be fine. You will be fine. You'll be fine. Here's a couple more caveats though, because you think that this is also simple, but there's also layers. Like if you're in the absolute throes of perimenopause, like I'm talking like 47, 48, and you're having big hormonal swings and no period, and then super heavy period, and you're losing your hair and you're gaining weight just because of the hormone swings, is cardio going to feel the same or be like, you don't have as much capacity for that because remember, capacity comes when we're like this, when our blood sugar is like this, and when our hormones do a nice normal estrogen, progesterone, period. And when you're in perimenopause, it looks like this: estrogen, 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 progesterone, estrogen, nothing. And so we don't, that capacity to be able to handle your kids, emails, cardio, extra work, no sleep comes from this blood sugar and hormones being balanced. And so when we're in the when someone comes to me and I can hear the perimenopause, approaching menopause situation, and they're like, I run 5 times a day. That's totally cool, Sharon. I knew that you told me that. Thank you for being here. She has to go, which is totally fine. You're always allowed to come and go. I'm not one of those teachers who doesn't allow that. Um, and back to if I have someone with the throes of the cardio or the perimenopause, I would suggest pausing and just sticking to strength training. And oftentimes my clients have a lot of like success of getting off that roller coaster and they can get back to running after they're done going through, whether it's in a year or two, whether they learn how to balance their blood sugar a little bit better, et cetera, et cetera. So is cardio bad? No. Does it make you gain weight? No. That's not the science. That's not how it works. But when you hear that kind of stuff, now you guys know, oh, I know why they're saying that. And, it's not ever as black and white. And my clients are the most educated. That's what I want to always know, that you guys just know. Now, here's another myth, and it drives me crazy when I see this on Instagram. Maybe you guys aren't getting these kind of targets, but when someone says, this is the one exercise that you didn't know that's going to totally tone your lower abs. Like, oh, what? I didn't know that my whole life doing this one exercise. I'm going to just totally tone my lower abs. Absolutely not. So fat loss happens across the whole body as a whole. And where you lose weight first is determined by your genetics. So some women, like me, when I lose weight, my bum goes as flat as a pancake. My waist is the last thing to go. I have a thicker waist, and I know it's not, I'm not a big person, but like when I gain weight, it's all here. And that's the way my sister is too, like thick around the waist, skinny legs, skinny arms. And other women are different. Their booties will be big until the day they die, and they have tiny little waists. And some women have a lot of like arm, upper back. Everyone's different. And so whenever you hear anything about like the spot reducing fat areas or toning certain areas, I mean, those exercises can tone the muscles underneath the fat. Great. Say that. But don't say it's going to give you a snatched waist, because that comes from reducing fat as a whole and changing your metabolism. And again, you cannot choose purposely where the fat comes off, because it is determined by your genetics. When you start to lose weight all over, some people lose weight in different areas. Another place for me, like my face, when I was pregnant or anytime I put on weight, I look like I've put on 10 pounds, even though it's only 2 in my body, in my face. My face fills out fast. Like if you guys were to see pictures of me pregnant, I only gained 30 pounds in my whole pregnancy. And I'm like, my face is so big. So everyone's different, and it's just, you just roll with it, right? I love my full round face. It's totally fine. Okay. What is another? Okay, can we get to the carbs and protein? Like, because we know a lot about this, but just, there's this trend right now about like being just protein. There's some people that are going full carnivore. I have a friend who's full carnivore. Sometimes she eats a little bit of fruit, but she eats steak, chicken, seafood, more steak, a lot of steak, so much red meat. Um, I mean, hopefully you guys can see the problem with this, but if someone ever tells you that it's good for your gut or your inflammation and stuff, it's because like, first it might feel good for like a couple days because you're removing entire food groups. Like you're removing anything that would probably have seed oils or processed foods or sugar, or maybe you do have a sensitivity to a certain grain. I'm allergic to eggs. Some people have garlic. Like, you just never know until you do a big food mop, removal and stuff. And do I believe you need to ever do those? No, I don't. I really think that the protein conversation is back to that pendulum where for a long time we just didn't really prioritize it as a macronutrient, especially for women, because we were like, protein's going to make us bulky. which is total bull S, BS. And the pendulum is swinging. So now people are like eating only protein, like 200 grams, where, like trying to get 120, honestly, 100 is really good, right? Like it's what if you look at the science of macro balance of like again, there's so much taking in your total daily energy expenditures, your activity levels, your age, your height, all of the things. Most of the time we need more carbs, like we need 50% of our day to be from carbs, 30% of our day to be from protein, and then 20 from fat. And again, if you are on a weight loss journey, you can lower those carbs a little. But generally speaking, that's kind of what we want. Do carbs make us fat? Let's remind us right now, just as a last little bit to this talk, because this could go from very many trends. How does our metabolisms work again? Can we just really reaffirm how it works? So we eat food. The only food that doesn't like really switch over into carb, even protein slightly turns into like a glucose in the body. It's a different thing, but anyways, um, fats are fats. That's just our fats. They go to our brain, our tissues and stuff, but that's why we need some. We need our brain and we need lubrication. We need we need fat, and we don't need sometimes as much if you're eating macro balance as we sometimes think. But we eat and the food gets into our stomach and it is converted into glucose. Glucose goes through the barrier into the blood. We don't want it there. So insulin, our pancreas is like, okay, pancreas shoots out insulin. Insulin is a transporter. That's what it is. It's a little carrier. So it goes and it binds to the glucose and it takes it into the muscle, into the liver, and if those two places are full, then it gets stored as fat. Okay, one more time. Into the muscle, into the liver. You guys are laughing at me. Or if those are full, then it gets stored as fat. Now, how do we make it so that the muscles, especially the liver is going to use it anytime we get too low in our muscles, because turning it from fat into energy, like returning the fat into energy, is the slowest process. That takes a sec. So let's just talk right at the moment. If we are using our muscles, and if we have muscle, because muscle at rest uses energy. So even just sitting at your desk, if you have muscles, your muscles are going to be using energy just to exist. Remember that. So the more muscle we have in our frame, the more space, the more like places that this has to go every time we eat. And again, the liver empties out every night pretty much. When we wake up, that's why breakfast is we can eat more carbs because all night the liver glucose storages are using energy to clean up the body and to think and to autophagy and to digest. And so, anyways, just there's so much science around this, but just to be really clear, okay? So the more times that we start to build muscle and we don't snack and we just eat our 3 meals a day, every time we eat, the blood flows, the insulin has somewhere to go. That becomes an easier pattern. And therefore, if we start to eat a little bit in a calorie deficit, that means we are starting to get below what we need to maintain that muscle. And if you have fat on your body, this will start to turn on that sequence of going from fat back to sugar so that it can go into the muscles. If you're eating enough calories that you never have to tap into your fat, it's not going to just turn on and go back because you're eating enough. That's where the calorie deficit is important. And I'm not talking 800 calories, but you have to be eating less than you're using, or else the fat that's hard for it to turn back. That's not easy. So it's like, and it has to be done it's not one day, it's weeks, become months. That's why I talk about it as a choo-choo train. I mean, it takes a lot to kind of get going. Once it gets going and you stay within either a maintenance or a calorie deficit, that's where this starts to happen. And the weight comes off, and you're never hungry, like, because you're eating enough and you don't feel depleted and you're not in a stress place. Because this is a mind, just a 200 calories, just enough to get the fat firing up to go back. Okay? So, do carbs make us fat? Mm. Yeah. So the reason I did, so Katie asked, can you explain week deficit, week maintenance? Yes. So the thing is, if you were all 30, you could just be in a deficit for up to 12 weeks. No problem. A lot of people, that's like a lot of science is like, that's kind of like 200 deficit, 300 calories deficit. Some people do up to 400 calories deficit. The thing is, at our age, if we go into deficit, and especially when we're even new to it, a couple things can happen. Mentally, mindset wise, we start to feel, like, I don't know if I can do this. This feels like too much restriction. So, A. B is again, our hormones need an extra little push. It's back to the capacity. So, the reason in Spring Shed, I went very gentle, 1 week on, 1 week off, was so that we could start to feel what a deficit was like, but we knew maintenance was coming. Also, how I really wanted it to be was that you were working, doing the new workouts. It was more complicated than what we're doing this summer. It was really kind of a regimented. It was like you're doing the new workouts, and then the second week you did them harder. Like that was the goal. And the second week was the maintenance week. So you're allowed to eat a little bit more calories because you're working a little bit harder. Now, moving forward in this your journey, what I recommend is like play like trying to think about like could I do 2 to 3 weeks in a day if you're on a weight loss journey. If you're not, then maintenance is where it's at, and like a day or two here and there, some days can be under, and then that allows you to have a couple days over. So that would be someone like me. I don't do deficit. I just stay in maintenance. Right now I'm in a bulking, so I'm actually eating more calories. But for deficit, for you guys, if you're in a weight loss journey, you do 3 weeks, especially if you're still bleeding. You could do your 3 weeks that you are not on your period. And then on your cycle, you go back to maintenance. That's like kind of the gold standard. And again, nuance. Some people feel shittier, sorry, worse, whatever I swear a lot, but in your luteal week. And then by the time you bleed, you feel better. So again, this isn't like she said it has to be during that time. It's not confusing. And Rebecca, just tell me what to do. And it's just hard to do that. But it is safe if you are really tuned in, if you're doing your breath work, if you're able to stay calm and stay really tethered to like as long as you're getting good sleeps, anxiety's not rising, you're not too hungry and you feel like I can't do this. If you're like, I could do this, like I'm eating my gangster style meals, I'm putting a shit ton of cabbage, tomatoes, cucumbers, squash, like whatever it is that is like low calorie but high volume so that you feel full and you're able to eat within that, like, it depends again on your height and stuff, but 16 to 18 to maybe 2,000 calories. That is where you're going to, and you're working out and you're getting your walks, especially back to this diagram. You eat and they binds. Now you go walking. So you're starting to use your muscles. So insulin's going to be like, oh, she's using them. So I'm going to put it back in the muscle so it doesn't go to fat. And then again, if you're in a deficit, that triggers because the food went right away to a muscle and overnight you're going to need some to digest. Like our body always needs calories. So again, it'll turn on the fat back to glucose, meaning weight loss. That's why we walk after our meals. Does this feel like I'm just like, is this feeling, it's confusing, right? But also it's once you get it, it's not. I feel like I'll just keep talking about it because it's hopefully what I've shared today has helped. Let me know. Let me know if I have confused you even more or if we're feeling good. Put it in the chat. I appreciate you talking about it. Makes it clear. Good. Okay. Good. I hope you guys feel that on the replay too. Because again, I want you guys to be empowered, meaning Like, of course I eat healthy. Of course I go for this walk. Like, I don't have to play that game. It doesn't have to take so much space in my mind. Because the space in your mind is the confusion, distortion world. This is a spiritual teaching more of, but the mind will go into the I don't know, as a way to trick ourselves because we just, the I don't know, like I genuinely don't know, even though you might, like going into that really takes the pressure off, and then we don't have to feel guilty or shameful because it's like, well, I don't know. So when you do know, and you just trust, I know, like, and also you have to say it to yourself because you can hear me and then just still play in that field. People do this with business, people do this with relationship, people do this with their health. This isn't just in the weight loss world. Like people do this in the relationship. I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. You do know. But that's a safer place because if you actually allow yourself to know and then to take action on it, there can be guilt or shame if you don't. So we do that. That's a mindset, egoic thing that we do. So I know as a coach that empowering through information, the real why behind what I tell you to do and what is out there to do is the way that we slowly make shifts. And you got to try it because it's got to not just live up here because you guys have bought the books, you've listened to the podcasts, you've probably worked with other people before. And so if it just lives up here, it doesn't stick. It has to live in the body. So you have to try. So that's good to leave us on this note at the end of this call, like wherever you're at right now, whether your goal is to build more, if it's to build more muscle and you're already at your weight, like where I'm at right now, then I actually need to eat some more calories so I have the energy to fuel the workouts, or otherwise the workouts are going to feel bad. I'm going to get into an injured spot. I got to be careful. But if you have weight that you're still trying to get down to your like more of an ideal weight. And again, we're not getting back into our wedding dresses or anything like that. It's just a weight that feels healthy, that you know is sustainable for you. You still have some fat to lose. Then you have to be dipping into the calorie deficits because that'll, and still walking after dinner and still exercising with muscle. That's such a great combination to make it sustainable, to make it feel good, to make it last in your body. So it's not like the biggest loser where you just are like, cutting. And then, I mean, there's nothing really change except for you are extreme dieting and exercising, but that's not what you're going to do for the rest of your life. So yeah, the metabolism hasn't, it's actually now worse off because you have, we talked about it. So coming into fall, nothing, we don't get swept. Really don't allow that fall sweep to get in. I know, Kate, I don't know if you've booked, but make sure everyone on the replay, I have talked to you, Ari, book your one-on-one so that if you have these specific questions, if you really want to know where you're going in the fall, I can help. And that's before September 8th, because September 8th, also, if you like what I do, let me do it. This is hard for me. I'm not very good at asking this. But if I have helped you in any way, if you like the way I speak about this, if you like my energy, if you just even if everyone was to refer one person into my free online event, I would be so grateful. You just have to share the link or share. I know you shared my post on Instagram. It just really helps. I'm not very good at asking, so that was really hard for me. But I really appreciate if you can help spread the word. That goes everyone on the replay too, not just emphasis on you guys that are here. Thank you. So yes, we have one final call next week. We're going to be launching into September. Virtual Studio continues. Fall Fire starts in October. The free September 8th to the 12th is going to be not this deep, but like giving people real tools on how to feel well-resourced and understanding some of this stuff. And yeah, if there's anything else, let me know. If not, tomorrow I'm off to Denman. One last little kick at the can, and then I'm back Monday, and it's like go time, right? So, okay. Thank you guys. It was good to chat. Lay it down. Thank you. See you next week.